Jackie Robinson smashes a double to left field.
When we hear the story of the integration of baseball, we often are led to believe is that that was the end of the fight. But the truth is that the generations after Jackie Robinson had to keep fighting.
For a man who makes $90,000 a year, which isn't exactly slave wages, what's your retort to that?
A well-paid slave is nonetheless a slave.
In April of 1947, 75 years ago, Jackie Robinson started at first base with the Brooklyn Dodgers, marking the first time a black man played in the modern major leagues. A new documentary called After Jackie is focusing on the legacy of Robinson's world-changing integration, not just in sports, but in social justice, long after his last game. Filmmaker Andre Gaines produced the film in partnership with LeBron James that examines the second wave of black professional baseball players who followed Robinson's trailblazing path.
After Jackie debuts on the History Channel this Saturday, and Andre is with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good to have you with us. Everybody was watching him, of course, and we kind of get a sense of what he did from movies we saw or books we read. How did Jackie Robinson manage history beyond after baseball?
Well, it's a really, really important question, and it was something that we wanted to try to highlight in the film, especially as it relates to the fact that Jackie Robinson was a player first, and really in his retirement, he became this activist. And the wave of guys that came after Jackie Robinson, this was the first time really in our nation's history that we were seeing the combined player activist, something we kind of take for granted today. So in Bill White, Bob Gibson, Curt Flood, off the the field, the baseball diamond, you had Muhammad Ali, is probably the largest figure. You had Jim Brown, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you had so many of these player athletes or these player activists that you actually end up seeing during the 1960s. And so what Jackie was able to do, he just really doesn't get a lot of credit for that. I mean, the story of Jackie Robinson is him breaking the color barrier, and that's mostly it. But what he did off of the field, that's his legacy. That's the things that he did for others. That's the legacy that he leaves behind. And he was this awesome supporter for the guys that came after him in a way that we don't see before this film.
I think there's maybe a tendency by some to think, well, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, and then it was smooth sailing for everybody who came after Jackie Robinson, and everything was easy. That's not necessarily accurate, is it?
No, it's not accurate at all. It's not, it's how the revisionist history kind of works. I mean, let's tell the story of the sort of moment of triumph, but let's not talk about the trials that folks experienced afterwards. And with Jackie Robinson, not only did he experience a great deal of discrimination and inequality both on and off the field, he was by design, meant to keep a tight lip, to walk onto the field, just play baseball, and not fight back, have the courage to not fight back. But that, sort of ran its course by the time that he was looking down the retirement, and by the time he actually stepped off of the field and became a very prominent civil rights leader working side by side with Dr. King. We wanted to see those marches. We wanted to see those protests. We wanted to see Jackie Robinson giving those speeches. And we also wanted to see how he was there for Bill White, Bob Gibson, and Curt Flood, and how he was there supporting them along the way in the fight that they were pursuing, because they didn't have the cameras on them that Jackie Robinson had. And so they had to endure, in some cases, worse discrimination and worse racism than even he did.
And I think it's a part of history that's not very well known. Talk about the struggles that someone like a Bob Gibson or a Curt Flood would face.
Well, Curt Flood, for instance, really gave birth to what we now know as free agency. So this was during a time that there was a reserve clause, something called a reserve clause in Major League Baseball, which is, it simply was, the players' inability to choose where they wanted to go and the owner's ability to do whatever they felt, including pay the players whatever they thought they were worth. And Curt Flood really fought against that. He felt that he was being underpaid. He didn't want to leave his family, who had roots in St. Louis, and pick up and go to Philadelphia. And so he really fought against it, and to the point where he actually sued the baseball and sued the commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, at the time, and sacrificed himself, threw himself on the sword, sacrificed his life, his career, his livelihood, his health ultimately. But it gave birth to, a LeBron James, who's our executive producer. Without Curt Flood doing that, LeBron James, wouldn't have been able to do the decision. There wouldn't have been these huge $175 million contracts that we see in the game to actually compensate these players for their abilities. So that's just really the tip of the iceberg of what it is each of these guys, the type of things that each of these guys accomplish, but something we can directly link to the past with modern times.
All right, Andre, thank you. After Jackie premieres Saturday, June 18th at 7 on the History Channel. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.